Hey guys, in this video we'll be looking at the poem Sonnet 116, Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds by William Shakespeare. This poem is an Elizabethan or otherwise known as Shakespearean sonnet. A Shakespearean sonnet has many characteristics that we need to take note of. So, a classic example is it contains 14 lines. The poem is separated into 3 quatrains, which means 4 lines each, and ends with a rhyming couplet, which is 2 lines that rhyme. So here you can see quatrain 1, quatrain 2, 3, and the rhyming couplet at the end. The rhyme scheme of this poem is A B A B, C D C D, E F E F, and ends with G G. So this is also a characteristic of a Shakespearean sonnet, this rhyme scheme. So here you can see how it's split up and which words rhyme with which words. It's also important to note that it's written in iambic pentameter and that the overall tone of the poem is confident. Let's read through the poem. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Let's analyze quatrain 1 of the poem. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Let's look at what certain words mean to try and get a better understanding of the poem. So here in line 1, let me not means don't allow me to. Marriage shows a union, unity, a bond. True minds means constant, faithful, unchanging, truthful. Admit means accept or agree. Impediments means obstacles or flaws that can get in the way of something. Alters means changes, alteration, which is another form of alters, just means a change. Bends means weakens, with the remover to remove. So remover is a person who tries to take love away. They try to remove the love. So here we can see in the first line, let me not to the marriage of true minds. So true minds here means an emotional connection. It's a non-physical relationship. It's real love. So true minds is another way of saying emotional connection. Here the speaker says that they don't want to accept that anything can come between two people who truly love each other. Nothing can get in the way of people who are united, so marriage, and have a real emotional connection, true minds. People who have true minds can share the same beliefs, values, and ideas. They may be close friends or family members, not only lovers. So it's an emotional connection. It might not be a romantic love, it can be family or friends. In line 3 and 4, the poet believes that if love changes, if it alters, or if it weakens, it bends, then it is not true love. So he says, if it changes or if it weakens, you know that it's not true. Here we see, also in line 3 and 4, that the poet actually repeats words. He says alters and alteration. He says remover and remove. So by repeating these words, the poet emphasizes that true love never changes. No matter what happens, true love never changes. True love does not change when circumstances change. True love stays constant, it stays stable. It does not weaken when there are difficult times or if a loved one does not seem to love anymore. If they try and take that love away, your true love will not change, even if things happen. Let's look at quatrain 2. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Let's look at what some of these words mean. Ever fixed mark, that means it's permanent, it's unchanging, it's a permanent marker, so it's something that doesn't change, it's unchanging. Tempests means storms or challenges. Shaken means moved or disrupted. So it's something that is constant, that looks at challenges, looks at storms, but is not moved or disrupted by it. It's not shaken. Nothing can change its stability. It's strong, it's firm. In the next line, it says, it is the star to every wandering bark. Star here means direction or guidance. In the past, they used to use stars to find their direction, to be guided. Wandering means lost or purposeless. Bark means ship. In the next line, worth means value, and height be taken means to be measured. They're measuring something. So let's analyze this. Here, the first and the second line of quatrain 2 is actually a metaphor, okay, because it says it is an ever fixed mark. This means we are saying that it is something. We're making a comparison without using like or as. And the next two lines are also a metaphor. So here we see two metaphors that describe true love. Let's look at it. Oh no, this is an expression, and it indicates how strongly the poet rejects the idea that anything can change true love. So this is just this expression that the poet makes just shows how serious he is, or how confident he is that nothing can change true love. In the first metaphor, the poet says that true love is an ever fixed mark. So this sort of implies that it is like a lighthouse because of the ship imagery that he uses here. He refers to ships and directions and stars. So this sort of implies that the ever fixed mark is like a lighthouse. It stays shining and constant, and it acts as a guide even during the worst storms or tempests. So this metaphor tells us that true love is faithful and steady, it's constant, and it will help you to manage even the worst of life's problems. That's what true love is. That's what the poet describes true love as. It's like a lighthouse, an ever fixed mark. In the second metaphor, the poet refers to the North Star. It is the star. So in the past, captains of ships would use the North Star to find direction or guidance. So we can safely say that the star refers to the North Star. It was used by captains to steer a ship in the right direction. It is constant, always in the same place in the sky. So you would always be able to know which star was the North Star because it stayed there. It never moved. It's always in the same place in the sky. In the next line, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. So here we can see that the position of a star can be measured. We know how high it is, how far away it is, but we cannot know its worth or its value. We can't measure how important it is, what its value is. So in the same way, the value of true love cannot be measured. We can't measure how important or how valuable true love is. So its worth is unknown, even though it gives us direction and meaning in life. True love is constant, it never changes. It can be trusted to guide you through life, like the North Star guides a ship that is lost at sea. Let's look at quatrain 3. Love's not time's full, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. Let's look at some of these words. Time's full. So full here means a servant or a slave. Bending sickle's compass. So a sickle is a tool used to cut long grass, and compass just means range or direction. Alters, again we see this word, it just means changes. Brief means short, then bears it out means it perseveres or it lasts. Edge of doom means the end of the world, the end of time, or death. So let's analyze this. Here we can see times full. The use of the capital letter in time tells us that this is personification. Because we write people's names with a capital letter, this implies that maybe this is the name of someone. So that time is a person. Shakespeare is writing about time as if it is a man. So he writes his, not its. So you'll see throughout this quatrain, we refer to time as his and not its. But it's also important to note that death, or the Grim Reaper, is also often referred to as Father Time. So here we see the personification. Shakespeare might be referring to Father Time here, to death. And Father Time, or death, carries a sickle to harvest people. Just like a farm worker cuts the grass with a sickle, he destroys youth and beauty so people become old. So here Shakespeare saying love is not time's servant or slave. Okay, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. So even though Father Time can take away your beauty and your youth, that does not affect love. He says that love does not come within the Grim Reaper's grasp or direction or range. So love is not affected by time or death. So the first two lines of quatrain 3 basically can be summed up as the speaker saying that love is not a servant that has to obey time's rules. Even though time destroys youth and beauty, so it cuts down rosy lips and cheeks with his sickle, love does not change when time passes. Then, if we look at the next two lines, it says, love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. So here the poet says that love will last forever, even until the end of the world, even until the edge of doom. The tone here is scornful of time's brief hours and weeks, because true love is not affected by time. So scornful means an expression of disgust towards something or someone who is unworthy. He says that love has nothing to do with time, so even if time passes, love is not affected. Let's look at the rhyming couplet. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man loved. So here, error means incorrect or wrong, and writ is just another way of saying wrote. So the speaker says that if anyone can prove that his views of love are wrong, then it would mean that he didn't write anything and that no one has ever loved. So this is Shakespeare's way of making a clever argument to end the poem with, because we all know that Shakespeare has written. He's written so many poems, so many stories. And we are actually studying one of his poems right now. And of course, people have loved before. And so what he says about love must be correct. So he says, if I'm wrong, that means I've never written anything and no one has loved anyone else, which we know is not true. So his opinions have to be true. The tone of this rhyming couplet is persuasive. So here he's trying to persuade you that what he's saying is true. And he sort of tricks you into having to believe what he says. So the poet or speaker wants to persuade the reader to agree with his views about true love. Let's quickly take a look at a modern translation of the poem. I won't admit that anything could come between two people who truly love each other. Love that changes when things happen is not true love. If it becomes weak when someone tries to take it away, then it is not true love either. It is constant forever, like a lighthouse that stands strong in storms and is never shaken by them. It is like the North Star that guides lost ships. We can calculate how far away it is, but we can't measure its worth or its value. Love doesn't depend on time, although we lose our youth and beauty and eventually pass away or die. Love doesn't change as time passes by. It lasts even after death. If I'm wrong about this, then I've never written anything and no person has ever loved anyone. Let's look at a summary. In quatrain 1, the poet tells us what love is not. He says that love is not fickle or changeable. It is not removable, can't be taken away. So he says it does not have obstacles or flaws. It does not change when situations change. and it does not bend or weaken when someone tries to take it away. That's how we know what fake love is. True love does not have these things. So in quatrain 1, he tells us what love is not, and now in quatrain 2, he tells us what it is. He uses metaphors based on ships and sailing to tell us what love really is. He says it is stable and it is permanent. It gives us guidance and direction. In quatrain 3, the poet tells us that true love is timeless. It cannot be measured and it lasts till the end of the world. The passing of time has no effect on true love. Then in the rhyming couplet, he makes a clever argument to end the poem and prove that what he says about love must be true. The themes of the poem include time, love, and the nature of relationships. Let's quickly take a look at some questions and answers to help you prepare for your tests and exams. Okay, so question 1, complete the following sentence. This is a typical sonnet because of the three and the that rhymes. So this question is 3 marks, so it shows we have to give 3 answers. So let's see. This is a typical Elizabethan sonnet. You could also say Shakespearean sonnet, that would also be correct, because of the 3 quatrains and the couplet that rhymes. So couplet is just 2 lines. So think of it as a couple, that's 2 people. So couplet is 2 lines. Let's look at question 2. Quote a word in the first line which has connotations of love and unity. So in this question, we see they say quote, and whenever you see the word quote, it means you have to use quotation marks or inverted commas. So you have to write the word in quotation marks. Then the word connotations here is just a fancy way of saying it's linked to or it can be associated with. So they're looking for a word that can be linked to love and unity, and we see that word is marriage. Remember the quotation marks. So you get 1 mark for that. Question 3. Refer to the following words in line 1. The marriage of true minds. To what do these words refer? So this refers to the union or joining together of people who have a real emotional connection. So this question is 2 marks. So you have to explain it. You have to say it's the union or joining together, 1 mark, of people who have a real emotional connection. So marriage, you explain what marriage is, union or joining together, and then you explain what true minds are. And that is people who have a real emotional connection. So you get 1 mark for each of those explanations. Let's look at question 4. Refer to lines 2 to 4. Love is not ... the remover to remove. So using your own words, explain the meaning of these lines. And this question is worth 2 marks. So true love does not change, it is constant. Even though circumstances change, when difficulties arise or when people change or try to take it away. So here you're explaining that true love doesn't change, it's constant. And you're saying that it's constant even when circumstances change or when difficulties arise or when people change and try to take the love away. So you get a mark for explaining each of those things. Question 5. Choose the correct answer to complete the following sentence. In line 5, the words, oh no, show that the speaker is. So here we go. It's worth 1 mark. And the correct answer is convinced. He says, oh no, it is da 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 da. So he is confident. Question 6. Refer to line 7. It is the star to every wandering bark. Give the literal meaning of the underlined words. So here we see the underlined words are wandering bark, and the literal, that means the actual meaning, is a ship that is lost or moving aimlessly with no direction. Wandering means lost or purposeless, and bark here means ship. So you'd get a mark for that. Then question 7, is the following statement true or false? Quote 3 consecutive words to support your answer. And the statement is, it is impossible to measure the value of love. So here we go. This is 2 marks. Now it's important to note they're asking you, is it true or false? And then, doesn't matter what your answer is, you have to quote, which means use inverted commas to support your answer. And the word consecutive here means that they follow after one another. They follow directly after one another. So you have to use three words that are right next to each other to support your answer. So you have to do both to get the full 2 marks. So the answer is true. So you get a mark for that. And then you have to quote three words in inverted commas because it says quote, whose worth's unknown. Let's look at question 8. Refer to the following words in line 9. Love is not time's fool. Identify the figure of speech used here. So we know that this is personification because of the capital T, time's fool. They're referring to Father Time or the Grim Reaper or death here. Question 9. Refer to lines 13 and 14. If this be man ever loved. So how does the poet use the last two lines, the rhyming couplet, to make his argument on true love convincing? So how does he convince you with the rhyming couplet? This is worth 2 marks. If what he says about love is not true, then it is also true that he did not write this poem. However, you are reading what he has written. Therefore, he did write this poem, and because he wrote this poem, it means that what he says about love is true. So he sort of tricks you into saying he did write a poem, which means that this must be true. So you'd get 2 marks for explaining that. Then question 10. Do you agree with the speaker's view of love? Explain your answer. This is also worth 2 marks. So they're asking you a yes/no question. Do you agree? And then you have to explain yourself. So you can't just write yes, you have to give a reason. And you can't just explain yourself, you have to say yes or no. So, yes, I agree with the poet that love can last forever. That's your yes answer. And then you say, people who really love each other can overcome any problems. So this is obviously your opinion, but here's just an example of how I would answer the question. And that is worth 2 marks. And that's all, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. And if you have any topics you'd like me to cover in the future, you can leave those there too. Thanks for watching.